Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews from Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 8 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host Marty McDermott, I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Trinity Hall, Senior Vice President of Development of Dickeys Barbecue Pit. And every Dickeys Barbecue Pit location smokes all the meats on site at the restaurant the same way it was done back in 1941. And we're going to talk to Trinity about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing, helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 8 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Trinity Hall, Senior Vice President of Development for Dickeys Barbecue Pit. And every Dickeys Barbecue Pit location smokes all of their meats on site at the restaurant the same way it was done back in 1941. Hi Trinity, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great, Marty. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, it's great. I'm doing well, Trinity. Thanks for coming on the show. We always like to ask our guests where you're calling from.
Well, I'm calling from Dickeys Barbecue Pit in the home office or hometown of Dallas, Texas.
Oh, wow. Is it safe to ask if it's hot down there today, or?
It's so hot. You sweat walking from your house to your car. It's crazy here.
That's what I heard. I have students. I teach online, Trinity, and I have a lot of students this year from Texas, and they were complaining last night how hot it is, so, and I knew I was going to have you on the show today. Yeah,
it's already over 100 degrees here. It's not even August yet.
It's incredible. It's incredible, isn't it? But I guess you get used to it, though, over time, don't you?
Absolutely. Unfortunately.
That's something, yeah. Well, Dickeys might be, we were saying earlier before the show, Dickeys might be one of the oldest concepts we've had on the show, so it would be kind of unfair for me to ask you to describe the complete history of Dickeys Barbecue Pit. But maybe, we could talk, Trinity, about, some of the highlights that has happened over the last, 75 years almost, I guess, up to this point, right?
It is. It'll be 75 years next
That's
year.
amazing.
We've had a good run. Travis Dickey opened the first Dickeys Barbecue Pit in 1941, and we've been smoking ever since.
That's incredible. And the family's still pretty much involved in the whole concept, aren't they, Trinity?
They are. They're very engaged, and it's good because that's kind of what we preach to our owner-operators is be engaged in your business, and so they definitely are the model of that.
Absolutely.
Mr. Dickey is more of the face. Roland Dickey Jr. is the CEO, so very engaged.
Yeah, and I've seen him do some presentations as well. I thought he was fantastic. Talking about franchising and Dickeys, and you can see he's very passionate, of course. About the whole concept. But it really is amazing. And Dickeys has had a number of accolades. Over the years as well. I've seen that you've been in the top 100 list private companies. That was in the Dallas Business Journal. Top fastest growing companies by Inc. magazine. Those are very impressive, aren't they?
Thank you. Yes, we've had a good run, and we've gotten quite a few awards this year as well. We've got 2015 Best Franchise Deal from QSR, so that's very exciting. We're so grateful and appreciative to even receive or be considered for some of those awards, especially with a lot of the competition that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Right, absolutely. You get to speak to a lot of prospective franchisees, Trinity. When speaking to prospective franchisees, how do you describe Dickeys Barbecue Pit? Because I think people have this perception sometimes that, they say, okay, it's Johnny's Barbecue, so barbecue is barbecue, and it certainly isn't, is it?
No, it's not. It's a culture. It's also something social that people do in their homes, and so we want to bring it out there to, every city in the country and world, and it's different because we're so passionate about, especially the meat. You know, we begin
Right.
our day with, you know, slow smoking that barbecue for 14 hours the night before. So it's
Wow.
very different in that sense. We have a smoker in every single location. There's nothing shipped in that sense. You know, so that's the day in the life. You know, they're always, we have owners that
Sure.
are there in the morning to see it go in, and they check, you know, the test for it that day. They do their own QAC check for it. And then they go out into the community. They're raising awareness. They're promoting catering,
Right.
community marketing, and then they're back at night to look at that meat again to make sure the next batch they put in is perfect.
That's fantastic. And Dickeys now is, I mean, they're really from coast to coast, aren't they? I mean, from California all the way to, you know, I guess the East Coast now, aren't they?
Absolutely. We're in about 42 states.
Wow.
You know, it's a fast-growing market. We're almost actually capped
Yeah.
out at California. We're looking at Florida now as our
Wow.
next hottest market. So we've got limited
amazing.
inventory in some states, and it's very surprising the ones that just grab onto it and run with it. You know, when I first started here, I did not think that California would be the market that it is, and so it's exciting.
I think that's a common perception, you know, is people think, you know, initially they say, well, you know, you think barbecue, you think, of course, like, you know, Texas. But, you know, I mean, as you said, I mean, it's almost sold out in California, you know, and you know, and Florida. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's part of the United States culture, isn't it, barbecue?
It is, but I just was surprised at California. I mean, it's great. It's the hottest market. I just was shocked by it, and I don't know
It
why.
is
I did. I
amazing,
pictured
yeah.
Texas, you know, the Carolinas,
Right,
Georgia,
right.
and you know, we've got great stores up in all of those areas, but it's just now Florida's our next hottest market. You know, maybe it's the
Wow.
ocean.
Sure, absolutely. It's funny because I thought the same thing. You know, California, I think of sushi and health food and everything like that. You know, but it's not at all. You know, it's you know, when researching Dickeys, you know, you can see that you guys are very big out on the West Coast. So, you know, I think that's very impressive. There's been a lot of changes since 1941. I mean, how has, you know, technology played a role in the business today, Trinity?
You know, over the last several years, we've launched a lot of programs dedicated to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, streamlining operations, making sure that we're staying relevant, making sure that, you know, we have what we think is the best system or software
Right.
that's out there. So, you know,
Yeah.
it has made a huge impact. We have a system that's called Smokestack that we've designed. So we get immediate sales tracking, forecasting by store, with individual monitoring and an alert structure. So if they are having a bad day in sales, we actually call them and
Right.
walk them through how they can turn their day around, store by store, by upselling product.
Oh.
And so that's been a new thing that we've rolled out, and it's been pretty neat to see them kind of, maybe it's a down day, and we call them, we tell them, you know, you guys really need to upsell the pecan pie. You would be surprised
Right.
how much of an impact that has. So it's played a huge role. I think as everyone probably has something like that. But, you know, we also have online portals for our marketing requests. So an owner can request their own marketing materials. They don't have to go anywhere to do it. It's all through us.
Right. There's no thinking, you know, and I guess that's the advantage a lot of times when you get into franchising too, is, you know, all of this has been thought out for the franchisees. And, you know, with Dickeys having such a long history, you know, I mean, they've pretty much been through everything and anything, you know, up to this point over the last 70, 75 years. So, you know, your franchisees certainly benefit from that experience, don't they?
Yes, they do, and I hope that that's what gives them a sense of relief and confidence that, you know, we've done it all, we've been through it all. There's always something else, you know. There's something that we can
Sure.
always do better or faster, or we're always looking and thinking to come up with the next best way to help them earn more money, or the best way or a faster way for them to do something without, you know, having an impact on their business. That is definitely at the forefront of
Right.
every decision that we make here.
So what do you look for? Like when you, I mean, obviously you get to go to Dickeys a lot, don't you? So I mean, what do you like to
I
have
do.
when you go to your own restaurants? It's like, I mean, do you have, it's probably not a fair question to ask what's your favorite, you know, but what do you like to, you know, have when you go into a Dickeys restaurant?
I love the spicy cheddar sausage. I'm not afraid to say that. It's an addiction for me. It is so good.
I saw that.
You know, the ice cream is really good too. It doesn't hurt to end the meal with some
Sure,
some
of
soft
course.
serve there.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
definitely I would say that. My next favorite would probably be the brisket.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, I made certain that I ate lunch before the show today because I knew it was going to be torturous in talking to you, you know, because I was looking at the website and I was getting hungry. So I said, I better make sure I eat before I talk to Trinity today. So
Well, that's great.
fantastic.
Thank you. What'd you think? You can be honest. You can tell us. We'll take any kind of advice or tips.
Very impressed.
Okay.
I was very impressed with the website, and I got to, see the presentations, on YouTube and everything like that, and just very, very impressed, with Dickeys. I think you have a great franchise there, and I think, what I like most about Dickeys also is the culture. Is that it sounds like it's not just the food, but it's an experience in going into a Dickeys barbecue, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's what we're shooting for. We want to touch on every
Yeah.
sense: the look of the store, the smell of the store, obviously the taste of the food,
Mhm.
the music that you hear. It's every element.
Right.
We want it to be an experience every single time, and we don't want it to feel like a business, but we want it to feel like you're walking into your neighbor's house and you're coming in and you're going to have some barbecue.
Yeah, that's fantastic. How about the industry, Trinity? I mean, are there any numbers, as far as the industry that Dickeys, as far as growth rates and everything like that? I mean, you're in a pretty big market anyway. I guess you categorize in, say, like the fast casual industry.
We are. I mean, there's,
Barbecue.
fast casual, kind of has the 35% of the market, but there's no one
Yeah.
doing what we're doing with barbecue. Our nearest
right.
competitors are kind of at a fraction of our size, but we are
Yeah.
definitely the largest barbecue franchise in the world.
That's great. So maybe we could talk a little bit about your franchisees and what you look for in your franchisees. I got to see some of them online, in going through the YouTube videos and everything like that, but I mean, what types of characteristics do you look for in your franchisees, Trinity?
We look for someone who is going to be engaged in all aspects of the business. We obviously want honest people. We want people that have the same work ethic that we do. We want people that are passionate about the art of great barbecue. That is what that's what we teach. That's what we train. And that's really what we look for in every single franchisee. We want them to be a part of the business. We don't want someone that's, maybe they own 20 concepts, and we have a program to where you can have a director of ops be what's labeled as your owner, and they come in and they're
Right.
just as passionate and engaged in the business. So that's really what we look for. We look for the business person that is, has multi-unit concepts, and we also look for the people that just want to own 1 to 2 or 3 stores, or maybe they come in and they just think they can handle that one, and we show them the path to how they can get 3 and 5 and 10 and 20 stores.
Yeah, and that's so important. What's the training like? I understand there was a clever name for the university too, wasn't there? I'm trying to remember what it was, but I know you know.
We have Barbecue University, and it's 4 weeks of
Yeah.
training that each owner
which
comes
is pretty
to.
Intense.
It is intense, but we want them to be set up for every situation that could possibly happen. If we're not there, we're
Sure.
always one phone call away. There's not somebody that's not
Right.
available at all times.
Right.
But we want to show them this is how you can, maximize your revenue
Mhm.
and
Right.
minimize your worry and your issues. And so it is 4 weeks, but we also have where
Yeah.
your managers can go to Barbecue University online as well. So it's a little bit different.
Great.
Everyone's required to come as far as
Right.
who's labeled as the owner, but we definitely have all sorts of training that's available. And it doesn't just stop there. You have your franchise director that comes out to your store and is assigned to you, and they're always a call away.
That's great. What's a typical day like for a Dickeys barbecue franchisee, if there is such a thing, Trinity?
Well, I mean, they're typical days. They come in, they're gonna check the meat that's in the smoker and make sure that it is definitely up to
Right.
our A+ standards, our gold standards. And then, they're going to get their team started. A lot of them are out there community marketing. They're out there raising awareness
Yeah.
of their business, and they're getting catering sales. They're trying to have an impact on that because it's definitely an extra revenue stream. It just kind of depends. It is day by day. So especially if you have a huge catering, we like to see the owners a part of that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's great. You've been involved in franchising. Studying your background, you've been involved in franchising for some time now, Trinity. And the majority of our listeners, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. Most of them have it in their mind that they want to get into franchising. But the challenge is most of them just don't even know where to begin. What would you say to them, or what advice could you give to our
That's a good
listeners?
question. I would say have passion for everything you do. When you look at a company or a franchisor that you want to be a part of, you need to look at where they've been and where they're going.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that they do have a future for the technology aspect that, the world is trending in. You want to make sure that they are going to be the right partner for you, and that the expectations that they have of you as an owner are exactly what you have as well for them as a franchisor. So, I would say do your due diligence. Make sure that working in a restaurant is really what you want to do day in and day out, because it can be extremely successful, but you must have passion for that.
That's a good point too. I mean, because it always does look like fun, right? I mean, when you're sitting, whether it's at the bar or just in the restaurant, you say, "Wow, it looks like a lot of fun running these things." But sometimes you don't know about like the behind the scenes, do you? You know what I mean? So to actually,
you really don't.
Get
you really
the full
don't.
picture, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can get there. I don't want people to think, well, I'm always going to have to, put in all this time and effort. And it's with any business. Your first one's going to be the most challenging.
Sure.
And, the second one, you know what to expect. And the third one, it's like you can relax a little. You can have, a director of operations or a GM that can help you. It's not just on you, but it's putting in the hard work at the very beginning, but always being engaged, always, watch your numbers, always watch every element of how your guests are being treated and all the things that you can do differently. Always stay engaged with corporate. There's things that we, change or improve on a daily basis. It's like I said before, it's always at the forefront how we can do better for our owners.
Right, absolutely. So I could ask you the next question, because, I mean, you are the Senior Vice President of Development for Dickeys. I mean, where do you see the company, like 3 to 5 years down the road, Trinity?
In 3 years, I think we'll probably be at 1,000 stores, and that's the point that we will definitely go overseas. So it's about the right person overseas that we feel like is going to represent us the best.
Sure.
But we're forever growing. I don't think that there's a cap for us. Roland Dickey always says that he wants global domination, and that's really what we all want here. So that's kind of an ongoing joke here, but it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
And of course, it's going to be interesting, I guess, for you too, when that does happen at some point. You know what I mean? To go to those international markets. It's certainly going to keep your job interesting, isn't it?
Oh, it definitely is. But, that's why I think that he should choose, some really fun places that I want to go first. So if I could be selfish with that, then we'll go that route. So
exactly.
I'd be more than happy to go over there. So, it just depends on what country we choose to do first.
Sure. So. That's funny. That's great. What's the best way for our listeners, Trinity, to get more information on becoming a Dickeys Barbecue Pit franchisee? Are there any websites that they can go to?
Sure. I mean, we're on, obviously, www.dickeys.com/franchise. You can always get us from dickeys.com as well. We are on Franchise Gator, things like that. So, and you can always call the franchise line at 1-866-340-6188, and we can get somebody on the phone for you and give you all the information you'd like.
That's fantastic. And you are pretty much all over the Internet. It wasn't easy to get information on Dickeys Barbecue Pit. Kind of all over the place, so it's really fantastic. So I want to congratulate you, Trinity, on all your success, and I'd like to, already invite you back, in a year or so as you guys keep continuing to grow, and as soon as you start pursuing those international markets, that should be fantastic for you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Marty. It was an honor to be on your show.
It was my pleasure to have you on the show, Trinity. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919. Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting franchise interviews many years now, and you can actually hear the show in a number of different places today. You can go to, of course, franchiseinterviews.com, where we have our interviews arranged alphabetically. We also have interviews arranged by category. So if you have a particular industry that you're interested in, you can go to the category of your choice and check out all the different interviews that we've done over the years. Our show's been syndicated in a number of different places. Of course, you can hear our show on blogtalkradio.com. We've been working with Blog Talk Radio for many years now, and you can hear live shows there, and then you can download them as an MP3. You can hear our shows on Stitcher.com. You can hear our interviews on, I think it's pronounced, I always want to call it Blueberry.com, but it's BLUBRRY.com, which is another podcast service. You can now hear our shows on iTunes.com, and of course, you can hear our shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if you're a diehard fan to our show on Live365.com. And we have over the years over 420 shows. So if you were to listen to Live365.com for 2 weeks, there's a chance that you may not even hear the same show twice. So that's how many shows we've recorded over the years. But today's Great Quote in Franchising podcast comes from Darren Guccione, and Darren is the CEO and co-founder of Keeper Security, Inc. And what's interesting about this podcast, we had Darren on the show as the founder and the creator of Keeper, which is the world's most downloaded password manager and digital vault. And Darren is a real entrepreneur. And one of the questions that we ask on the show is, what advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur or franchipreneur or someone looking to buy a franchise? And that question is usually directed to someone who has been directly involved in franchising over the years. But again, Darren is a real entrepreneur. His background is in accounting and business, and I thought his response was just as great as anything that we've heard on the show. So here we go with Darren Guccione, the CEO and co-founder of Keeper Security, Inc.
Amazing. It's amazing technology. In studying your background, Darren, I was mentioning earlier, the majority of our listeners, again, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. You know, they want to go into their own business, and they're kind of like heading towards the franchise alternative. What advice would you give to them? Because you're certainly, in studying you, certainly classified as an entrepreneur. So what advice would you give to them?
Well, my background is engineering technology. I'm also a CPA, and
right.
I've always had an admiration for franchises. One of the things that I love about franchises, among other things, is that you can analyze the different franchise models that are out there, the brands, the type of businesses, and you can quickly identify which ones are successful. And typically, they give you a roadmap of what you need to do to execute. When you start a business without a franchise roadmap, you typically don't necessarily know where you're necessarily going to go or wind up. And so you get a greater sense of security and guidance when you can pick a franchise model that, fits within, your goals in life, your interests in life, and B, provides a really sound infrastructure for you to build a business with a great support system around you. Most businesses that are one-off businesses don't have that. So there's a greater sense of, uncertainty out there when a business owner or an entrepreneur, as you've outlined it, decides to, pursue a franchise versus doing something completely fresh and new. I think the risk profile of doing the latter is much greater. So that's my response to that.
No, it's fantastic advice. So any final thoughts, Darren?
Fantastic interview with Darren Guccione. So I want to thank everyone for making our show such a success, and this podcast has really just taken off over the years, and we got some really great quotes in franchising coming up. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.